Hello, and welcome back to the Pain into Power podcast. This is part three: Who is protected and who was rushed? Thank you for joining me again as I continue to share my story and the documented evidence of what really happened at Botsford Place Terrace Apartments. If you've been following along, you know this isn't just about my experience. It's about showing the truth based on receipts, public records, and what actually happened behind the scenes. Now, before we dive in, I want to address something. From part one at the end, I used very strong language about exposing corruption. I meant to clarify what I meant. I am not making personal attacks or accusations about evidence. What I'm doing is sharing documented proof, emails, videos, and public records that contradicts what was said publicly. This episode is about transparency, accountability, and showing what really happened. Now let's look at the real impact. Here are before and after pictures of my apartment. This is what my home looked like before the fire, and this is what it looked like after. As you can see, everything was destroyed. The life my daughters and I had built, all of our belongings gone. And while my family faced total loss, other residents who barely had any damage were offered relocation or temporary housing. I don't know. The inequity is clear, and I want you to see it for yourself. From here, I'll show the receipts, the video footage of my apartment, my communications from management, and the news clips. This is the evidence that tells the story beyond what was publicly shared. What you're about to see is the truth, and it speaks for itself. If you remember from part two, I showed a neighbor who had smoke damage. Maybe some of her furniture got wet from the fire hoses, but she didn't lose her belongings. Management sent her an email offering her and her daughter a two-bedroom apartment to relocate. She stayed on the opposite side of the building from me. And as you'll see in the media clips, I'll show everyone the news covered. The families featured as the victims were also on the same side of the building. My side, completely ignored. Meanwhile, my family on the other side of the building lost everything. I reached out to management multiple times explaining how difficult it was to rebuild and recover. I told them I needed help, but instead of assistance, I received inconsistent messages. First, that my apartment was unsafe, and then almost last minute instructions to retrieve my belongings, all by June 9th deadline. They even suggested I probably should hire or get a moving truck to salvage what I could, leaving me scrambling to recover even a fraction of my property. Now I want to share some of the messages between me and management after the fire. These texts show exactly what I went through trying to recover my home and belongings. In the messages, management first told me that my apartment was unsafe to even enter. They advised caution and suggested I might not be able to salvage everything. At the same time, they set strict deadlines, telling me I had only until June 9th to retrieve my belongings. I expressed how overwhelming this was. I told them that I felt helpless, homeless, and completely unsupported. I explained that I had just returned to work after a workplace injury, and now I had to navigate this crisis on my own with no relocation or assistance. I also made it clear I did not authorize anyone to touch my belongings, yet I was pressured to rush and figure it out. The messages highlight the inconsistent guidance I received, being told it was unsafe, then being given a hard deadline, all while my family had lost everything. This is part of the documented evidence I've been sharing. It shows not just the physical damage from the fire, but the emotional toll and unfair treatment my family endured compared to other residents who were offered immediate assistance and media attention. These texts speak for themselves. Now, I want to read this email to you. Some parts of it is on the screen. This came from the management company, and it was to all the residents. Dear residents, first and foremost, we want to say how truly sorry we are for what you've been through. The fire that occurred on Saturday evening has deeply shaken all of us, and we cannot begin to imagine the fear, loss, and disruption it has caused in your life. Please know that our hearts are with you. We understand that this is not just about property, it's about your home, your memories, your sense of safety, and for what we are truly heartbroken. Since the incident, we've been working tirelessly behind the scenes to coordinate with the fire department, the city, and other insurance partners. The official investigation to this case is still ongoing, and we are committed to transparency as soon as we have confirmed information to share. We know that no amount of logistics can take away the pain of what's happened, but we are here and we are deeply about supporting you through this process. Here's what we're doing right now to assist. Remediation efforts have already begun in affected areas. We are working to restore utilities and safely access as quickly as possible. Our team is compiling a list of local resources, including housing assistance, counseling, services, and organizations offering immediate aid. We are in communication with our insurance representatives to understand coverage options for affected areas. As soon as we have that information, we will immediately share. We also recognize that communication in these moments matters deeply. If it feels like our response have been delayed or impersonal, we sincerely apologize. That was never our intention, and we are committed to improving the way we communicate and connect with our residents, especially during moments of crisis. No one is alone in this. We will continue to update you as we receive real concrete information, as we believe in full transparency. With deepest compassion, Stephanie and Brookfield Management Team. Let me explain the layout so everyone understands. This neighbor that I'm about to show lived directly across the hall from me. She was on the right hand side of the building. The fire originated on the left hand side. The fire did not cross the hallway. 4 units on the left-hand side experienced structural fire damage. The 4 units on the right-hand side, including the neighbor across from me, did not experience direct fire burn damage. What they experienced was smoke impact and ceiling damage from water and firefighting efforts. The lady at the top across from me, whose video I previously showed, had holes in her ceiling. That indicates water and response damage, not structural burn loss inside the unit. That's a very different level of impact. So as you watch this clip, understand this was the right side of the building. This was not one of the 4 units that sustained structural fire damage. Now let's listen.
Tonight on The Edge, more than a dozen families in Farmington Hills forced to find a new place to stay just one day before the Easter holiday.
Well, their apartment's totally unrecognizable after a fast-moving fire destroyed everything in its path. Tonight, victims are speaking out. And Fox News' Jessica Dupnack explains how you can help.
There are 18 families without a place to live after fire destroys the guts of this apartment building behind me. Now, the city of Farmington Hills says that the smoke alarms went off, but tenants we talked to say they didn't hear a thing.
Did anyone else there say that they heard the fire alarms?
Everybody that I asked said no.
Brian Badger's voice still hoarse from the smoke. He was babysitting his 3-year-old granddaughter, Georgia, at his daughter's Farmington Hills apartment Saturday night. He says the family dog was acting odd around 10 p.m. Then Brian smelled smoke, grabbed his 3-year-old granddaughter, and ran out.
I was knocking on the doors, opening the doors that were unlocked and clearing them, making sure that nobody was in on the way out.
8 units totally destroyed, 10 more damaged at the Botsford Place Terrace Apartments. Everyone spilled out into the parking lot, watching firefighters battle it for 4 hours.
I think I ran the fastest 800 meters of my life to get to my kid because my stomach just dropped.
Sierra Wilson's stepdad and daughter were okay, but their dog and cat stuck inside. A brave police officer rushed back in to save them.
They got our cat. Yes.
One of their cats is still missing. The cause appears accidental, but is still under investigation. And according to this Facebook post made by the city of Farmington Hills, it says the smoke alarms within the building activated properly. But some tenants say they didn't hear them.
I rebuilt myself in that house, so it's hard. Like it was my start over spot, and now I lost everything again, and I have to start over again.
Sierra and her little girl do need clothes and the basics until insurance comes through for them. If you want to help, her information is.
So this is the neighbor who lived directly across the hall from me on the right side of the building. She stated she lost everything. I'm not denying her experience, but structurally, the right side of the building did not sustain the same damage as the left side. The left side, the side with boarded windows, is where the fire occurred. That is where 4 units sustained structural burn damage. That is where my unit was located. The right side experienced water and smoke damage from firefighting efforts. That distinction matters. Yet the public narrative separated on a tenant from the right side of the building. So this is the neighbor who lived directly across the hall from me on the right side of the building. She stated she lost everything. I'm not denying her experience, but structurally the right side of the building did not sustain the same fire damage as the left side. The left side, the side with boarded windows, is where the fire occurred. That is where 4 units sustained structural burn damage. That is where my unit was located. The right side experienced water and smoke damage from firefighting efforts. That distinction matters. Yet the public narrative centered on a tenant from the right side of the building. The families on the left side, the ones whose units were boarded up, were not shown. We were not interviewed. Our losses were not highlighted. And that is the disparity I'm pointing out. Different level of damage, different level of visibility, different level of response. Now let's look at another neighbor's perspective. A tenant who lived further away from the fire on the right side of the building in a townhome connected to the complex. Her unit was not directly impacted by the fire. She experienced temporary loss of utilities, water, and power for a few days, but no structural fire damage. In this clip, she speaks about her experience. Listen closely to what she says, and notice how it differs from the loss of my daughters and I suffered on the left side of the building, where the fire actually occurred.
Likely don't know what they're going to do. Fox 2's Camila Miri shows us the incredible viewer video and describes the harrowing tale of how even a pet apparently made it out.
A hard fire to get out. You know, these guys worked hard to get it to go out for sure.
Late Saturday night, Nicole Henderson capturing cell phone video of the fire at her Farmington Hills apartment complex off Independence near Inkster Road.
Farmington Hills were able to save a woman's cat, which was like an amazing moment for everybody that was standing out here. Freezing cold, they saved the cat.
And if you look closely, you can see the cat in Henderson's video. While fire investigators work to figure out what caused the fire, Red Cross is helping those who have been displaced.
So fire didn't actually hit mine, but we're out of water and power, and we don't know how long it's going to take to be restored. So I actually have an amazing family and friends. So I'm not worried. I just hope the same for everybody else. I don't know if I'll ever see some of these people again that live with us. I hope I do, and I hope they can get the apartments fixed. But I pray for them.
In Farmington Hills, Camila Mary, Fox 2 News.
As you just heard, her unit only lost water and power for a few days. That's a very different level of impact than what my daughters and I experienced on the left side of the building. Our unit suffered full structural fire damage. We lost everything: furniture, clothing, personal belongings, and memories. And here's the part that doesn't make sense. We were told the apartment was unsafe. The firefighter who came with me confirmed the unit was unsafe. Yet management gave us a deadline to come retrieve our belongings. Because of that, we couldn't retrieve anything at all. They removed our property without giving us the chance to properly go through it, even knowing I'm disabled. The contrast is clear. Some tenants had minor temporary issues and were visible to the public. Families like mine who lost everything were not highlighted at all. This isn't about diminishing anyone else's experience. It's about showing the truth of what really happened, the full extent of the loss on the left side of the building where my daughters and I were displaced. Now let's look at this footage from the day of the fire. You're seeing firefighters drilling and cutting sections of the roof directly above my unit to contain and put out the fire. The window they're going in and out of is my living room window, the very room where my daughters and I live. This shows just how close the fire came and the extent of the damage that my unit suffered. This was not a minor incident. This was not a situation where belongings could be saved easily. My home and everything inside it was directly affected. While some tenants had limited damage or only temporary loss of utilities, this is the reality for the families on the left-hand side of the building, the side that experienced full structural damage. Now you're seeing the inside of my apartment, the unit my daughters and I lived in before the fire. As you can see, the structural damage is extensive. The door was nearly impossible to open because the fire compromised the frame. The ceilings and walls show the impact of the fire and the firefighting efforts. Everything inside, furniture, clothing, personal belongings, was destroyed or damaged beyond use. This is what my daughters and I faced every single day, and yet management never offered us assistance. No relocation, no help recovering our belongings, nothing. We were left to navigate this on our own. Despite being told the unit was unsafe and being given deadlines that didn't make sense. Meanwhile, other tenants whose units were minimally affected were highlighted publicly. Smoke damage, ceiling holes, minor water damage, and they were offered assistance. But our reality, full loss, displacement, and trauma was ignored. This is the proof of what really happened on the left side of the building. This is part of the story that the public hasn't seen, and the defense has likely never witnessed. My daughters and I lost everything. We were displaced, we were silenced, and yet here is the reality. This footage shows exactly what we went through, and it cannot be denied. So that's the reality of what my daughters and I faced. Full structural damage, everything lost, no assistance, no recognition. While the public saw tenants with minor damage, the families who lost everything were silenced. That's the story the media didn't show, and the one management doesn't want highlighted. This isn't just about property. It's about fairness, humanity, and accountability. My daughters and I are still rebuilding, still displaced in the aftermath, and yet this is our truth, documented, undeniable, and real. If you want to see the full story and understand what really happened, follow this podcast, share it, and subscribe. There's more to come, and you don't want to miss it. So far, here's what you've seen. Part 1. When oversight fails, the tenant pays the price. How the media allowed the city of Farmington Hills and the fire department to publicly claim that the smoke detectors were working, while tenants with real life damage, like my daughters and I, were never allowed to tell our story despite our countless efforts. Part 2. The paper trail that didn't burn. The FOIA reports and documentation from the city clerk's office, as well as information from the insurance, showing years of negligence and mismanagement. Part 3. Who is protected and who is rushed? The first hand look inside our destroyed apartment, showing exactly what we lost and the mistreatment my daughters and I endured. Now, in part 4, let me blow your mind. The owners behind the fire. You will see who owns this building, how they handle everything, and why my family had to take legal action. Follow me, subscribe, and stay up to date on my YouTube and all social media platforms. Share this story. My daughters and I lived it, and the world needs to see the truth.